You know that feeling when you try to read a classic text from hundreds of years ago? You feel like you need a translator, not just for the words, but for the entire worldview behind them. Well, today, we're going to explore a really clever solution that unlocks the mind of one of history's most powerful spiritual voices. And that voice belongs to Saint Teresa of Avila. I mean, with just one sentence about a castle made of diamond, she just pulls you into this incredible symbolic world. She was a mystic, a reformer, a writer, and her ideas are just as electrifying today as they were 500 years ago. But who was she really? Who was this fiery saint? To really get why her words still hit so hard, we kind of have to understand the incredible life she led. Okay, so picture this. It's 16th century Spain. Teresa is a Carmelite nun, and she basically becomes this major reformer, starting a whole movement all about simplicity and deep, real prayer. She also wrote these spiritual masterpieces like The Interior Castle. Then, fast forward centuries later to 1970, the church recognizes her massive contribution by making her the very first woman to ever be named a doctor of the church. That's a huge deal. It speaks to the raw power and intellectual weight of her insights. And yet, even with that amazing legacy, so many of us who try to read her today, we get stuck. Her words are powerful, for sure, but her world can feel, well, a little lost in translation. So here's the big question, right? How do we get to the core of her wisdom? How do we actually feel that fire in her words without getting completely bogged down by a cultural context and a way of speaking that feels so far away from our own lives? This really lays out the gap we're talking about. Her world was, 16th century Spain, mystical visions, convent walls. What we're looking for is timeless wisdom, a clear understanding that we can actually use. We need some kind of bridge to connect her world to ours. And that is exactly where our source for this explainer comes in. It's a book that is designed to be that very bridge. It's such a brilliant idea, really. It's like a dictionary for the soul. It's the Saint Teresa of Avila Dictionary by Isaac Volpe, and let me just say, this is not another stuffy academic text, not at all. It's designed to be a key, a tool you can use to unlock her entire universe of thought. The book's mission is right there, up front. It's a bridge between her time and our time, between deep scholarship and personal devotion. It's built to connect her unique language directly to the kinds of questions that we're asking right now, today. Okay, so let's dive in and see how this actually works, because the real genius here is how simple it is. The book takes her most important words and ideas, gives you a clear definition, and then it just lets Teresa speak for herself. Let's start with her most famous idea, the castle. The book defines it really clearly. It's a symbol for the soul, and it has all these mansions, or rooms, that represent different stages of spiritual growth. Simple enough, right? But then comes the magic. The book immediately follows that definition with Teresa's own words. And suddenly, the whole concept isn't just an abstract idea anymore. It's an invitation. The Lord's desire is that we enter. You see how that makes it so much more personal and, actionable? Let's try another one. What about love? For Teresa, this was not some vague, sentimental feeling. No way. The dictionary explains that for her, love was the absolute core of spirituality, and it had to be proved by how you loved other people. It's so practical, so grounded. And then the book gives us this quote from her. The important thing is not to think much, but to love much. Just that one line makes her entire mystical theology feel so incredibly accessible. It's not about complex mental gymnastics, it's about what your heart is actually doing. All right, one more, because this one is huge. How did she see prayer? For a lot of us, that word can be a little intimidating, but the dictionary shows us her approach was just revolutionary. It wasn't about reciting formulas. It was a living relationship, what she called a close sharing between friends. And when you pair that with our quote, prayer is the door to great graces, it totally transforms the idea from a duty into an opportunity. And the whole book works like this. Word by word, from humility to fortitude, from darkness to joy, her entire world just opens right up. What's so amazing is that it shows her mysticism isn't about escaping the world, it's about engaging with it more deeply. It turns her from a distant saint into a practical guide for the inner life.
So, what you've got here is way more than just a book. It's a companion. It's a companion for a journey into one of the most brilliant spiritual minds in all of history.
I mean, think of it as your personal guide through her rich, symbolic language. It's a companion you can use for serious study or just for a quick moment of daily meditation. It really is that bridge we were talking about, and it's an invitation for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a scholar, a curious seeker, a person of faith, or even just a friendly skeptic. It lets you engage with her work on your own terms. So if you've ever been curious about Saint Teresa of Avila, but you just didn't know where to start, this book is your entry point. We've barely scratched the surface today. To really begin that journey, you can find a link to purchase the Saint Teresa of Avila dictionary in the description below. It's your chance to unlock this timeless voice for yourself.